you the slides respectively. I actually share with you first the ARK. So all of you should see now my profile. Can you confirm?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So on the profile, you see when you are an active user of the ARK, you collect impact points, right? And if we go into the leaderboard, then we see who are basically the most active users. So you see we have a total of almost 9,000 hours of environmental education, either participated or facilitated. And you have here the top people, you have them here. So if I go back now on my profile, you see I have 2,000, more than 2,075 impact points. Participated 40% of those of this time, 60% was facilitation. And you see that added last year in June, it's kilograms trash removed from the environment. One signature. There are many other organizations who do similar things. We clean up the environment, no? And this is logged here. And very soon we're gonna have a third KPI here. And this KPI is related to the bioregion. So here in the bioregion, this is actually kind of a dummy because the functionality is here since, I would say, more than a year, but it's not working yet. We want to connect people with nature. You remember the ARK, A, activate body and mind, R, restore people and planet, K, know your bioregion. So the know your bioregion is really the central part about being connected to the planet. And you see here so-called bioregional knowledge of 37%. So what we explain you today is how you acquire this percentage and how it ends up in the end here as a third KPI in your profile. Good. Going now back to the slide. Hopefully also sharing it to the right screen. So we have the arrival round. And you see the agenda is like we have it always, but always again also an entry kind of question or a quiz. There are trees, very commonly flowering, blossoming trees in Europe around this season, early April. They flower pretty much everywhere. And think about which kind of tree this is. Maybe you also know where it's native to. It grows widely in Europe, and the answer will be given at the end. So who is new? That's always how we start. He's teaching at the moment piano, so he cannot join us, but I was really kind of lucky to run into this person. His name is Philipp Kronbichler. He's quite an accomplished pianist, composer, and music teacher. But apart from this, he also practices and instructs Tai Chi since 15 years, and is a very, very active social transformation advocate. So Philipp set up a community on the ARK called Transform the Mind of Society. He is active in this border region, Czech Republic, Austria, and actually added already an entire course to the ARK about climate change, 4 topics. So he told me he cannot join today, but he will write a blog entry on the ARK about his work. So I'm looking forward to this. Okay, we have somebody else. Maybe before I start the introduction, our latest guest wants to say hello and say a few words for arrival. Hello, iPhone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm using my phone. Hey, good.
Ah,
Hi, everyone.
hi, Ilan.
Hi, Hans.
You
Hi,
want
Knut.
you want to take a few seconds to just tell everybody what's on your mind right now, but just briefly, please, because we need to move forward with our content.
Okay, what's in my mind? Just for quite a long time not being in this group chatting, so I'm curious how everything goes here. And actually, these 2 days I've been studying or researching on how to having well communication online through those or online working softwares. Yeah, that's
Okay. So
yeah.
very specific. Ilan is you're joining us again from Berlin, or are you already in Portugal?
It's Berlin.
Berlin. Okay. So we are really diverse today, I have to say again.
Oh, really?
Good. As always, before we share new functionalities on the ARK, I give you an introduction about the theoretical concept in the beginning. So you might remember this slide. It's the Venn diagram showing the triple health. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. So we have this also in our white paper. Real sustainable transformation needs to have 3 elements. It's the community, the environment, and the economy. And that's why a lot of transformation is falling short or not achieving its goal, because it only looks at 1 or 2 of those elements. Now, we have been working with phase 1 of the ARK, mostly on the community part. You see this here on this slide, phase 1, we try to overcome through an event platform the fragmentation of education for sustainable development. And with spring equinox, so 4 weeks ago, we actually moved really into phase 2. Doesn't mean that phase 1 is completed. We have to resolve bugs, improve UX, UI, but basic functionalities are there. And we have started with phase 2, and phase 2 is about scaling the overview effect. This is really about environmental application. It's a core functionality. And phase 3, so this is what we're working on. I hope that next year around spring equinox, we can move into phase 3 to use what we have been working on in phase 1 and 2 to at least support the structure of a conditional universal basic income. That's the economy part. So that was the big picture. You also know this slide from other beta calls. We have in total 7 different concepts that are part of this project. And today we're going to talk about the ecological concept. So we have a problem. No, many problems, but one problem is that people do not perceive the planet as their common home. The recent war in Ukraine is another example. There was a poll done in Russia. Most Russians think that their country engages in a heroic war against the West. That's what I read. So we need to change this kind of mindset. We need to turn into a humanity that perceives the planet as one single home. We have no planet B. And the overview effect is about creating post-national identity. I'm asking now, who has heard about the overview effect? Can you lift your hand quickly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Patrick, Ilan, Pauline,
He said who knows or who doesn't?
Hans, you don't know what the
I
overview?
don't think so.
I must have who doesn't.
No? Okay, then I quickly explain. The overview effect is a psychological phenomenon. It's a complete cognitive shift that has been confirmed by science, and it happens when astronauts see the planet, see Earth from outer space. So they fly into space and they are nationals, they are Chinese, they are Russians, they're Germans, they're Americans. But when they see Earth from outer space, something happens. They realize that the Earth is such a fragile organism. We need to work together to protect it. And so the national identity becomes completely irrelevant. And this happened with all of the more than 500 astronauts who were in space. So a lot of environmentalists think, how can we scale this mindset to everybody who is on the planet? And the question that I add here, without shooting them, as maybe Mr. Musk tries, into outer space. So this is quite a crucial question, because psychologically speaking, this is better than mindfulness meditation. No, it is like an instant change in how you perceive yourself and your relation to others and your relation to the planet. So we try to scale the overview effect without having to shoot all of humanity into outer space. This is the problem. Now, what is our strategy? It's an old but still very nice graph from Anna Ricillo, who preceded Valentina as our chief designer. Anna is still in Milano, I think. And you see here that the planet is broken down into small pieces. Those pieces are, however, not anymore countries. Those pieces are the natural parts of the planet. And those natural parts have been confirmed, again, by science. They are called bioregions, and even smaller parts are called ecoregions. So what we try basically with the ARK is we provide a software solution to break down the planet into human scale pieces. So, and the human scale is important for us as a human being to get an entry point to this overview effect, since we cannot go into space and get this perspective of the planet. Now, this is, it's quite complex, but we have a manual video on bioregions. So watch the manual video on the ARK. It's a really cool manual video that Giuseppe did, and it explains exactly how the scientists confirmed that you can break down the planet into smaller and smaller pieces, which are not countries, which are natural parts of the planet. And those natural parts, I have to say, are defined by the climate, of course, and they are defined by the fauna and flora that exists in that climate area. Good. So what is our solution? Our solution is basically very simple. The fourth evolution of the internet of nature. So we try to connect the nature that is out there that we encounter every day with the software. And that's what we call Environmental Education 4.0. And we'll tell you today how this is going to work. Again, here the three steps for those who are not so familiar with the evolution of the internet. The internet started more or less with internet of people, social networks, and there was the internet of services, e-commerce, and so on and so forth, Taobao, Alibaba, eBay. And what we talk a lot now on, since I would say already a couple of years, is the Internet of Things, IoT. So we connect different things. You can connect your coffee machine, your house, everything, your car to the internet, and that's the Internet of Things. And we merge all this into the Internet of Nature. And today we're going to show you a bit how this could look like. So we have a local pilot project. The local pilot project we call STP Mobile Campus. And we took the train station as a starting point. And you see here already in a sort of computer game version that you have locks and you need to unlock those single points. And then you reach a destination. For example, Feldmühle, Vierhofner See, Sparkassentag, which we will hear about in a second. So all these places are green spaces around town, parks or suburban green spaces. And we gamify this experience. And we do this with interactive nature learning paths. They always start at the train station. And for children below 12, we do it guided. But the goal of the project is that you can do it actually alone. So it's self-guided. And self-guidance has one very, very big benefit. It enables exponential scaling. And for this, we move a bit into the technological concept. I think you have also seen this slide before. Have you? I think everybody should have seen, but maybe you've forgotten. So that's the underlying slide that we use for why we think the technology is a big part of the solution. Tech can be used for good and for the bad. You can exploit people on planet, but you can also do a lot of good. And we have been looking into a lot of social media platforms and asked ourselves, so what is it actually? Why are they successful? So you have Facebook. Why is Facebook successful? Because it gives people self-esteem and belonging, even though it's fake, but this is what it builds on. And so there are different platforms. Also, for example, Airbnb, very important. It creates trust through rating systems. And this is why it is successful. Otherwise, you wouldn't stay in the home of an alien person. No? And today, we're going to look a little bit more into Duolingo. Who knows Duolingo? One, two.
Everyone.
Apart from Pauline and Patrick. So who wants to quickly explain what Duolingo is about? Just a few words.
Basically, it's an app that helps you to learn a new language, any language you want, and it does it in a very gamified way. You'd have a lot of interaction, and every exercise is made of like basically just as little games, and you have points, and you can have a streak, and you actually can connect with friends to see how good they're learning a language, and this kind of healthy competition with them, and the whole thing. It's a pretty nice way, pretty nice way to learn a language.
We could say it's a mixture between social media and a language learning app. I have to say, I'm probably also old generation. I only know it through my kids. I don't use it myself. But I've been looking into it, how it's set up, and it has 200 million users. 200 million users. So it is an astonishment to me. But actually, it's not. If you look into it, it answers a learning need. We all want to learn. But when we go to school, we quite often encounter obstacles. There are students in our class that learn fast, others learn slow. We have teachers that are not qualified. Duolingo basically is working on all this because it's completely personalized and gamified. You set the speed of learning. And this, of course, enables a tremendous progress. And it is fun. So Elon wants to join again, but actually this is like, so here we go into the next step, Duolingo. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have collected here a couple of nice icons online, and comparing with you the difference between Green Steps, ARK, and Duolingo. So in Duolingo, what do? You learn a language, right? What do? We learn about nature. We learn the language of nature. We learn about a bioregion. Duolingo is infinitely scalable. 200 million users, I think, are a clear indication. I think the same can be done with the concept that we presented today. In Duolingo, you can choose from a dozen languages. I think it's already 40. On the ARK, you will be able to start wherever you settle and learn about different bioregions. You have completely personalized learning. You define how fast you go. Same is going to happen on the ARK. In Duolingo, you have small chapters, really very small chapters, to slowly learn about a language. And we could say that a language is like an ocean, no? Think about how many thousand words there are. phase 2 of the ARK, we're going to have short routes. So you could take the short routes as a small chapter. And then we have a gamified experience in Duolingo, and we also try to have a gamified experience on the ARK. All right, and with this introduction, and I hope that you have some questions on your mind, I hand over to Lucas, and he's going to show us together with Gloria, I think, today, and Giuseppe, what is really new.
All right, so I'm jumping in with the screen, and do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So first of all, the main topic of today is the minimum viable product, or the prototype that we are working on of the bioregional identity acquiring. Then I'm going to show you how to edit and translate badges, and which is useful if you have a multilingual audience. Some new filters that we have added on the community page, so that
We don't hear you anymore. What it says? What does it say?
Is it
I don't hear Ada.
I believe.
I don't hear anymore.
okay? Can you hear me?
Now it's good.
Okay.
Yes, it's okay now.
Oh, you're
but
back.
It's like
There's some Wi-Fi.
trying.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Right now I'm out of battery on my headphones, so we have to do it this way. I hope it's bearable. So I'm gonna share again, and here we go. And I'm gonna show you the Korean version, which we have added this month, and then I'm gonna give this screen to Giuseppe. All right. So first, about the bioregional identity. How do we set up the bioregional identity acquiring? How can people learn about their bioregion? Currently, we are letting people to learn about local trees on routes. So we all know that on the ARK, you can design activities. These activities are supposed to connect people to the planet. Now we have added the concept of species and specimen. So the people who are bioregional mentors, which means they take care of communities in a specific bioregion, and they know a lot about a specific bioregion, they can create species, which means one kind of tree. I'm not very good with trees myself, but with programming, I say that this is like a class, a programming class. And then for a specific instance of the species, so one concrete growing tree, you create a specimen. So this is something that Gloria will show to you in a few minutes after my introduction. So you create species, you create specimen, you attach them to an activity, and your goal, your learning aim is that people who go to your activities, participate in your activities, learn about the specimen, about the trees in their surroundings, and through the specimen, they learn about the species. And in this way, they grow their bioregional identity. So how does this look like? Let's look into the library. And in the library, you can see this specific route, which means it is a template of an event, how to lead people onto a route in Subroten and learn about the plants and their friends in there. And one of the learning aims is to recognize and name local plants and animals. So what is missing in here is what are the plants and animals that you are going to learn about. And that is the part that we are currently developing. And I'm going to give the screen to Gloria, who will show to you how it looks like to create new species and new specimen. Gloria?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. So here we are into the bioregional page. You have an overview, species, and specimen. If you enter into species, here you find a list of 30 species that I added like a few weeks ago. Those are all species that you find in Sampolten. And they are also all like big trees. Like we only included the species of trees that can actually grow as peak-friendly giants. And for example, in the park of Sparkassen, which is the park that Lucas just showed you find a species like the London plane, Platanus acerifolia. So this is how it looked like. You have the pictures, of course, you see the common name, the species name, and then you have two sections, nature and culture. In the natural section, you have a visual description with some details, and then you have like this nice drawing with all the leaves and branches and fruits. And then you get like some information like where is the tree native from, and best time of observation, so like when it's flowering, when does it have fruits, the etymology about the of this name, and some interesting facts about this tree. And now we also have a life expectancy here, which can be also be separated at one point, and some sources and references. And then if we enter into culture instead, we see the usages of like its wood, and so his importance for humans, and the history of the species. So with like a royal tree, and the symbolism, and then again some references. So this is the species itself. But what do we have exactly in Sparkassen Park is a specimen. So now I added this, for example, which we call the Buddhist movie. This is exactly the Platanus acerifolia. This is this picture, is how it looked like. And now, okay, we took this picture yesterday, which was like a stormy day, and you see the sky is not the best. And actually, the really white bark, it was a bit, yeah, let's say spotted. But so what we say about this tree, like we give him a name because it's exactly this tree and no other tree. And it has a code, that is what we normally use to identify this specific tree. And we also have a map with all the tree on Sampolten. And exactly here you see the coordinates. And this is an age that we define, like of course, like is not precise, but is what we deduct from the gear, which is 380. So, and we use like a small calculation, and we do 380 divided by 2.5 to get the years. There's some, and then what can we say about this tree? Like, is in natural shape, like is actually is very smoothest plane you will ever see. This is what I thought. And under the cultural point, so what is his interaction with humans mostly? I mean, this is into this park, which is called Sparkassen Park. It is like right in the city center of Sampolten, close to the train station. And so there are like a few information actually about the park itself. And also like it's close to a playground. But unfortunately, we don't really have like many more infos on his history. But this is what as much as we can say for now. Yeah, I mean, maybe I can pass the word away to Lucas.
Okay, sure. So yeah, thanks, Gloria, for showing that. So these basically are the entries in the ARK bioregional database. And as soon as people take part in an activity which has a route in it, which means it's a route in which you go to see different specimen, then the facilitator marks those specimens as observed, and the people who have participated grow their bioregional identity this way, which means their indicator of how much they have learned grows, and they can also view the details of the species and the specimen. So it's kind of like a game. It's not that everybody sees everything in the bioregion, but you can gain the cards, the species and specimen cards.
We've lost you again.
Lucas again, but maybe I jump in. What is
Knut, you're muted as well.
We don't listen to you. Sorry, my fault. We were muted for a second.
okay? So today, bit of tech issues, but I'm jumping in now. Do you copy? Yeah. So the idea is that local teams, it's actually about the decentralization, because one of the design principles that we have with the ARK is that local teams can really do the work and connect people with nature. So how can this be done with the bioregional identity? If you know your environment, your city, your village very well, then you should also know where you have nature monuments, old big trees. Old big trees are something like a keystone species. If the tree, the old and big trees, if they die, a lot of life dies with them. So by highlighting those trees on our routes, we provide this environment to get step by step more knowledgeable about your bioregion. And this can be scaled by local teams. This is very important to realize, because we do this now in the pilot project for SDP. It took us more than a year to really identify those old trees. They are not anywhere listed. Only a few trees, 40 trees, I think, are listed by the government. And we have found more than 300. We've found more than 300. If you have met all of those big trees, then you have reached 100% of your bioregional identity on your profile. And this is a gamified process that you run through. But the important thing here is, no matter whether you're in Zurich, in Lisbon, or in Seoul, if you're a local team, you can use this functionality to develop the same kind of routes. And you have the same game there. You own it, you define it, you customize it and localize it. And that's the idea of scaling this concept. But
So can I ask a question?
sure.
Yeah. So for example, I live close to a river. And so if I developed a route there that showed all the bird life and the birds that you can see, or birds and fowl that you can see along the river, then that would be an equivalent to your big trees, right? So it's a regional or sub-regional, let's say, route. Actually, it could be many routes along that river, but essentially has the same wildlife in terms of fowl and bird. Is that, am I understanding this correctly? That would be an equivalent?
Yeah, so this is a very good question. Why do we use trees and not birds? I'm myself actually a birder, so I would have loved to actually do this with birds. There's a problem, because everything that we do is related to make it scalable.
Yeah.
So, and scalability means that you have to standardize certain things. Birds, you never know where they appear. They are in certain areas, yes, but
they're mobile, yes.
Where they are.
Yes.
So use the concept that we have been also using for Plants and Friends in the Big Friendly Giants. So we create a route along 10 big trees or 20 big trees. Now, you have the trees because they are like almost permanent. If they have been there for 100 years, it's very likely they're going to stay there for a couple of more years. So you know that you can go to these fixed points. But in between, and this is maybe not so obvious, in between there is the spontaneity to, of course, introduce a lot of different wildlife, the birds, the insects, the herbs, everything. But this is standardized. This is basically up to the local nature guide. What can be standardized also with the software is the trees, because they're gonna stay there for good. They're not gonna change every day.
Let's see. Okay, and the 300 trees that you visited, those are 300 different species, or just, you know, not as many species, but just the number of trees that you see on the routes?
30 species where we have found trees that are older than 100 years. And in those 30 species, we have more than 300 trees. And this is the work of a local nature guide team to find this out. Because if you know the trees, and conservation scientists also work mostly with trees and forests. This is how you define a bioregion. It's not through the bird, it's through the tree, through the forests. This is where you start, because plants, especially big plants, are so decisive on defining ecoregion. From there, basically, you have created a foundation. You can move to birds. I mean, for me, it's always a mixture, of course. Which birds do you see? But it's not going to be, at least not in the start, on the ARK, because we cannot standardize this.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, so we start with the trees.
All right, then still do today. You're gonna continue, Lucas, with the other functionalities?
Yeah, I guess so. It's it's muting me.
I still. No.
Okay, now it's.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it really takes like 2 seconds, and then as soon as you remove it, then it disappears.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I don't know. They just say muted as soon as I unmute. The technology doesn't want me to speak today, but I will do it anyway. So now you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to show you today, very practical, edit and translate badges. So we've got courses on the ARK where you can certify people their attendance and grasping the skills by giving them a badge. This is a very clear case. This is a first aid course, and the participants get a first aid badge in here. Now, what this functionality is about is that if we switch into German, so if we have a multilingual event.
Don't see your screen, Lucas.
Are you sharing?
Thank you. So this is a first aid course that I've been showing to you. I've been showing to myself in English, and people, after participating in the course and managing to give first aid, they get a certificate of first aid, which is this badge. Now, if you have multiple languages in your course, which means you are doing this both in English and German, now you would like to translate this badge into German. So I'm going to switch to German. And we can see that the badge is not translated. All the course is translated, but not the badge. So let's go to edit it. And if you have worked with the event platform, know that if you want to add another language, first you switch the ARK into that language, and then you edit whatever you want to translate. And that way it will add a new language to that element. So I went to the step 3 of editing this course, and I'm going to badges. I edit the badge, and I'm gonna do a German translation. So Erste Hilfe, I believe. And I prepared in advance, and I have a translation of the description of the badge, which I'm gonna take from Google Translate, and I'm gonna translate the description in this field and speichern. And yeah, simple as that. You can do this with most of the content in your events and courses now also with the badges. So you see the badge is in German in here. If I switch to English, it's still, it's also in German. Okay, so finding bugs in finding bugs live. So yeah, it's not correct. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to show is a filter on community events and courses, which is helpful if you want to make a link that leads only to your community courses or only to your community events. So I'm going to start on the profile page of Green Steps South Wilton, and I'm going to view all the events of Green Steps STP. And this is currently a lot of events, which is a mix of courses and single events. So what I can do now is that I select that I only want to see the courses because they are what I want to promote. And I can take this link that I have on the top of the page and I can create a QR code and put it on a poster with my activities. So that people who arrive through the QR code can only see the courses. Okay, and the last thing that we have in here from my side is the Korean version. Thanks a lot to Ellen for finding a translator and to Giuseppe for coordinating. So the language switch on the top right has a new member, and the whole ARK completely with all functionalities and is now available in Korean. So looking forward for the first events on the Korean Peninsula. Good. So that's it from my side, and I will hand it over to Giuseppe, who will talk about some new content on the platform.
Hello, thank you, Lucas, for handing me the conversation. And sorry in advance if we have some delay in the streaming. I hope you see the presentation now, but actually, I would like to start very quickly from the ARK itself, just to show you again this screen. This is if you joined the previous beta calls, you might remember that we said that we have now the possibility to upload and download best practices in the library. This is how the library looks like, and we created two best practices. One is this course of movies, movie screenings dedicated to parenting and education, that we call family film course. And this was created directly on the ARK as a best practice that can be downloaded in any community. And the other one is 4M, which is about appropriate technology, and was created within the local community of Green Steps St. Polten, and uploaded as a best practice in the library, which can be now downloaded by any community. And this is an example of what now is available on the ARK, and that can be available for any of you host, and can be hosted by any of your communities, and of course of any other community that joins the ARK. So the overview that we have here is to give an idea of the value that can be brought in and out down, can be upstreamed and downstreamed from the ARK, which is for the the 4M is a series of 20 movies that regards the topic of technology, how the technology is not good and not bad, and why we should not be overwhelmed by it, and we should learn how to handle it. And one of the things that we do with the ARK is actually recognize what is the good in the technology and how it can be used for the good and for the development of humanity. The interesting thing is that in this course, which you will find also the documents to support the moderation of such sessions. And thanks to the work of Richard, also we are creating an archive of materials that also accounts of all these movies. So if you are interested in hosting such courses, we are also able to provide you with all the supporting material, not just the moderation itself, with has some guidelines that you can decide to follow, and also every movie is also enriched with a TED talk with it. It can be interesting to for the moderation session, but also the actual movie, which in some cases can be even difficult to find. Actually, I was very happy to host some sessions of the forum course when we held it in Shanghai. But we also have the family films one, which is 12 session, and actually we have two possible movies can be hosted for each session. In this case, the credits of the learning path that can be assigned are the credits about mentoring and parenting. For both courses, you can see that we have 30 credits because, as a reminder, that we assign 10 credits for each hour of meaningful activity that we host on ARK. So we have each session lasting 3 hours. And in this case, the topic is clearly about parenting and mentoring. We focus on, you can find movies and moderation files that help to the community to talk about the importance of giving space and time, the importance of learning from pedagogical topics that come from examples from the Montessori method, but not only. And people in Greece steps are very familiar with it, but it's not just about that. And one very important aim of this course is that we should move towards alternative and collaborative parenting styles, which strengthen the value of the community. So that's also why this is interesting to be hosted by one of your committees, if you like. Is of course we are of course talking not about strictly outdoor activities. So we are talking about movie screenings, but this is still a very valuable experience for community-wise, also to enforce what Knut talked about before, as the importance of strengthening the sense of community and caring about something that is on a human scale. This is one of the content that I helped bringing on the ARK, even though I was not the lead designer of it. Other than this, I invite you to check out our manual videos that were mentioned before. The first one that was mentioned also by Knut during this part of the presentation is about overview, effect, and bioregions, and which is a video that will help you to share with us this vision about how we should look differently at the world map. And actually, the other one was freshly edited and posted, and this the first ARK concept video, which is, helps you to get in our vision of mindful social media design. So we use something that is already there, like we said with Duolingo, but also about the importance of sense of belonging that tools like Facebook can give. But using such technology is in a good way, and by changing our habits.